Things are heating up behind the scenes in Philadelphia, and this is one of those moves that, discreetly, says much more than it seems. Howie Roseman has made another calculated decision, and this time it involves a name that many fans expected to see in the game until recently. And the details of the agreement reveal exactly how the front office is thinking as we approach the 2026 season. I'll tell you everything in detail, so click the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay well informed. Now let's get straight into what really matters here. This trade isn't just about moving on from a player. It's about positioning. The Eagles are sending Sidney Brown to Atlanta while swapping picks in both the 4th and 6th rounds. Philadelphia receives picks 114 and 197, while giving up 122 and 215 along with Brown. On paper, that might look like a small jump, but if you know Howie Roseman, you know he values every inch of draft capital. Moving up in 2 different rounds while offloading a player who wasn't going to start tells you everything about how this roster is being reshaped. And let's be real about Sidney Brown's time in Philadelphia. When he came out of Illinois, there was a lot to like. Elite athletic profile, explosive testing numbers, physicality that jumped off the screen. This was a guy who benched 225 pounds 23 times, had a vertical over 40 inches, and ran a 4.47 at over 200 pounds. On pure athleticism alone, he looked like a perfect modern safety. But the NFL has never been just about athletic traits. The issue, and this became more evident over time, was how he processed the game. Brown played with intensity, no doubt about that. Sometimes too much intensity. That aggressive, almost reckless style led to missed tackles, blown assignments, and a lack of consistency in coverage. In college, those flashes could outweigh the mistakes. In the NFL, especially in a system that demands discipline and awareness, those mistakes become liabilities. And that's where things started to shift internally. Under Vic Fangio, a defensive mind that prioritizes structure, awareness, and positioning, trust is everything. And it became clear that Brown hadn't fully earned that trust. While he found a role on special teams, where his straight-line speed and physicality actually became assets, he never locked down a consistent defensive role. That's why this move doesn't come as a surprise if you've been paying attention closely. In fact, he stands as one of the very few draft picks in recent years under Howie Roseman who didn't develop into a long-term starter. Think about that for a second. Since 2021, the Eagles have drafted 22 players in the first 3 rounds, and 21 of them became starters. Brown was the exception. That's not just a player story, that's a front office pattern, and it shows how quickly they're willing to pivot when something isn't working. Now, from Atlanta's perspective, this is a low-risk addition. They already have a strong safety duo with Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts, so Brown won't be asked to carry a heavy load. Instead, he'll likely contribute on special teams and possibly be used in hybrid situations, maybe even closer to the line of scrimmage, where his physical traits can be maximized without exposing his weaknesses in coverage reads. But let's bring this back to Philadelphia, because that's where the real conversation begins. This move creates a very real concern. The Eagles' safety room is now thin. Andrew Makuba is coming off a broken ankle, and while he showed promise as a rookie, relying heavily on him at this stage carries risk. Beyond him, you're looking at names like Brandon Johnson and Andre Sam. That's not exactly a proven group, especially for a team with Super Bowl ambitions. And that's what makes this situation so interesting, because while the Eagles improved their draft positioning, they've also opened up a clear need. Cooper DeJean remains locked into the slot role, where he's been extremely effective, and Jonathan Jones provides versatility at corner. But neither is expected to transition into a full-time safety role. That leaves a gap, one that will have to be addressed either through the draft, a late free agency move, or potentially another trade. What's even more intriguing is how the Eagles approached the safety market this offseason. Several capable players signed relatively affordable deals elsewhere, and Philadelphia chose not to engage aggressively. That suggests confidence in their internal evaluations or a strong belief that they can find value in the draft. And if there's one thing we know about this front office, it's that they trust their ability to identify talent in those middle rounds. Still, there's a level of risk here that can't be ignored. Safety is a position that relies heavily on communication, awareness, and chemistry within the defense. It's not just about individual talent, it's about cohesion. And right now, that unit feels like a work in progress. So this trade, while smart from an asset management standpoint, raises a bigger question about the direction of the defense as a whole. Are the Eagles setting up for a strategic draft move? Are they planning another surprise addition? Or are they confident that the pieces already in the building can step up in a major way? Because if there's one thing we've learned about Howie Roseman, it's this. Moves like this are rarely isolated. They're usually the first domino. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the Eagles trading Sidney Brown and creating this need at safety? Do you trust the front office to fix this before the season starts? Or is this a risky move that could backfire? And when you look at everything we just broke down, this move feels like one of those classic Howie Roseman setups, where the real impact isn't immediate. It's what comes next that truly defines it. Because yes, on the surface, the Eagles moved on from a player who didn't fully develop and gained better draft positioning. That's smart management. That's efficiency. But at the same time, you're now walking into a situation where one of the most important positions on defense is surrounded by uncertainty. And if you're aiming to get back to the Super Bowl, you can't afford weak spots in the secondary. We've seen how quickly things can fall apart in the NFL when communication breaks down on the back end. One missed assignment, one wrong read, and suddenly a game changes. That's why this decision carries weight. It's not just about Sidney Brown. It's about what the Eagles are planning to do to replace what they no longer have. Because, let's be honest, Eagles fans have seen this before. Moves that didn't make complete sense in the moment ended up being part of a bigger picture that only became clear later. That's why there's still a level of trust in this front office. Howie has earned that. But trust doesn't eliminate pressure. If anything, it raises expectations even higher. Now, all eyes turn to what's next. Will the Eagles attack the draft aggressively and find a hidden gem at safety? Will they explore another trade that nobody is talking about yet? Or will they gamble on internal development and hope that players like Mukuba take a major leap forward? Those answers are coming soon, and they're going to define how dangerous this defense can really be in 2026. So stay locked in, because things are far from over. If you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And right now on your screen, there's another video breaking down the next big move the Eagles could be preparing. Go check that out, because if you want the latest Eagles news before anyone else, this is the place to be. Go Eagles!